Well, hello there. It's Jennifer Ruff here. So happy to be here with you and just hey, hello. 10 years ago, the ability to flow was one thing, you know, and I was just even in a program where I was co facilitating, and honestly, uh, I asked everybody, "Do you remember do you remember how to flow then? Do you remember how it was then? Do you remember what it was like 10 years ago or 15 years ago?" And that you kind of knew what you were doing ish and you made it work, right? And I know for me that was very much so. I kind of had this expectation that it was all gonna just come to me in some way. But these days, because of all the shifts, and I'd love to hear from you actually in the chat. I'd love to hear from you in the chat about what is it that you're feeling right now? What is it that's going on? Just put it in the comments. That's going on for you that is kind of showing you that we aren't in Kansas anymore. Like, what's going on in your life right now that the way you used to flow, it's obvious that the way you used to flow, like in your job with money, what is it that's different? Write it in. Oh, Alan from the Philippines, so happy that you're here. And please type in your name and say hello, by the way. Today's a little bit about, it's not a little bit about, it answers the questions. What are the superpowers that you need? Because I had to do this for my own self. Like, I realized I'm not in Kansas anymore. I realized that it's not the same old anymore. And good morning to everybody. And as I realized that things weren't flowing and the same things that used to work to help me to kind of get back to that feeling of awesome and expansiveness and like I knew what to expect, right? Amy saying the government shut down, she works for the government. So, how do we dance with kind of like this life that's super crazy, right? And how do we get to that alignment, Jerry? How do we get to that alignment when the rules have changed, when the game has changed? So I want to tell you a little story, and before I tell you a story, and hi Patty, happy Thursday to you too. I want to share about something that I did recently that was a fairly significant. It was a fairly significant shift. It was a fairly significant undertaking, and that was that I noticed that in business, which is and when I say in business, it's my heart's calling. It's not really, it really is my passion and my love to build bridges, because I found that building bridges within myself and literally going direct with my own innate guidance basically saved my life. I was dying of toxicity. I was dying of, honestly, a lack of intimacy and loneliness. I was also, this is 25 years ago, and all of a sudden I started connecting to my guidance realms and to some beings that I didn't even understand could even be there. And I realized that if everyone could do this, I mean, if everyone, like everyone could do this, then it would be a different world. It would be a different game for us. It would be a different, I don't know, it would be a game changer. I ended up having a series of awakened dreams over a series of days that showed me how our bodies work, how life works. And what's interesting is lately, this is the first time I've been having a series of awakened dreams, like I did way back then when I realized that I didn't know what I was doing with life. And now, with all the changes that are happening in this world, I realize that I'm getting calls from my clients and emails, and that's why this series is happening, because I'm getting calls and emails saying, oh my gosh, it's different times. What used to work doesn't work in my relationship. What used to work doesn't work for my financial flow. I'm struggling with my purpose because it's almost like the environment to express my purpose is entirely different. And I'm not really sure how do I do this, right? So yay. Here we are. Flowing. So I had a dream. Now, we used to take people on wide awakening adventures. We started up again. However, this time when I was finding myself struggling with communicating with my sweetie, finding myself struggling with, not struggling so much as just, struggling. Let's just stay struggling with, what is this evolution? It seems like a quantum leap. It seems like what I need to get is so unfamiliar to me that it's like there's this space, right, between where I am. It doesn't seem like there's a linear path. Have you ever had that feeling where you're on the precipice of a leap and you feel this urgency inside, and you know that there's something to get to? There's an evolution in your relationship to money. There's an evolution. But by the way, that was another one. So there were three major parts of my life, right? So I'd like to hear about the parts of your life right now. If you can put it in the comments, what parts of your life are you just kind of going, I don't know. I know something's calling me. I can't see it. I want that. I know there's an evolution, but it seems like the precipice from where I am to where I'm going is big. So I did something. And I know to do this because of physics. And today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a story about what I did. And then I'm going to talk about 3 superpowers that you have, that you've probably used before. But when we're kind of in a sense of intensity about life, when we're in this realm of intensity, what happens is my amygdala certainly took over. My amygdala took over, and meaning the part of me that wanted to make sure that I stay safe. But I don't want to stay safe. I want to flow with life. I want to live in the overflow. Don't you? I want to feel the sense, if I'm made of particles of the quantum world, literally made of the same particles that births new solar systems, I'm not really interested in hyper managing my control and safety. But as the world around us changes more, have you found this? As the world around us changes more and everything becomes less predictable, even if you think you're doing pretty good, the entire environment of the globe has changed. And I'm excited that we have people from all over the world here. We have people from England and Philippines and Canada and United States. And if you're from somewhere other than that, please type it in too. I'm just looking to see if you guys are feeling a little bit of what I'm feeling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you what I did that actually shook the tree so much in the most amazing way to take me out of safety and control so I could get exponentially more receptive. I wanted to become a master receiver. So we're going to talk about the 3 superpowers on this day 1 that assist you to become a master receiver, such that you're in the flow of receptivity. So I'm going to share a story. We're going to talk about the 3 superpowers that you already have. You've probably used them, but when you're in your amygdala, you're not accessing the expansive alchemical part of you. When you're in your amygdala, when life around you is changing so fast, which it is environmentally, monetarily, the economic system, even though you think you're doing pretty good, it still has an influence on you because there's 8 billion other people actually having that. And they're your friends, they're your family, they're around you. And systems are changing. So my question was, looking at my sweetie, looking at my communication, looking at my business, looking at all the places where I'm like, I am not in Kansas anymore, literally. I knew that I had to do something that's in alignment with quantum physics. So I'm going to talk about the 3 superpowers. Then after the 3 superpowers, we're actually going to talk about how you can integrate those. There's also a second and third day. We're going to join together for about 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, but we are going to start to embody how you flow in times of great change. That's today. The second day is about freedom from overthinking, because it builds on what we're talking about today. So every day builds on the last day. How do you get free from overthinking when life gets intense or something doesn't go the way you want or whatever it is? And it's only going to take, it's a 2-minute exercise. And on day 3, we're going to talk about how uncertainty sucks and how to stay in your knowing no matter what. That's when we go through these first 2 days, it's going to build up to the third day. And the third day, your receptivity of that third day matters so much. That's why we're creating such a big context for the third day, because my goal here is to help you to not just, and me, I mean, I got to tell you, whenever we do these, I'm just as much in it as you are. So we're going to build up until the third day. And the third day is going to be, it's a little big for this conversation, because remember, we only have 25 minutes or so. But by the time we get to the third day, you will be wide open and receptive to a bit of a quantum leap. I had this conversation that we're having on the third day with a client yesterday, and she's like, I think I need 5 days to process this. It's a big one. All right, you guys ready? Just put yes in the comments if you're ready. Bring it on. I am ready. Let me share a little story. I realized, one of the things in that initial awakened dream that I experienced, in the series of awakened dreams, I remember floating, and it was like I was just there. I was absolutely there. And a teacher that I really admire was on a floating whiteboard writing. It was so fascinating. And on this, I'm so glad you guys are ready. On this floating whiteboard, as I would open doors with my mind, and I mean, it was quite an experience. And this was about 25 years ago. What I got shown, and what is true in science, and this is going to rock your world around how you perceive reality. Some of you have heard this before, and I bet you the majority of you have not. You remember back to chemistry, which we all barely survived, and we talked about atoms. Now remember, you and I are made of cells that are made of molecules that are made of atoms. There are trillions of atoms in your body. Actually, trillions of atoms per cell. And there are already 50 to 75 trillion cells. So just imagine the size of that number. This matters because if you understand that when we go to the subatomic spaces, what you're made of, what the air is made of, what the lamp I'm looking at is made of, what the trees I'm looking at are made of, we're all made of particles at the most foundational level. If you had a microscope strong enough, you would be able to experience something other than 3D. And in that land of non-3D, This is formative, by the way, to your entire life experience. If you want to live in flow, if you don't understand this, it will break you. It will cause you to work really hard and struggle at everything. So I had that dream 25 years ago, and what I got shown is that the electron part, there's a nucleus and there's electrons going around. I promise you this is the only scientific part I'm going to explain, but it is foundational. The electrons that go around the atoms that you have trillions and trillions and trillions of, that you are made of. We were told that the electrons go around the atoms, they just start like orbiting like a planet orbits, but that's not how it works. In actuality, the electron goes around the nucleus, and the electron, a major part of an atom that you are made of that's subatomic, actually goes around the nucleus, but then it becomes a waveform. It changes from 3D to multi-D. And what happens is it leaps to another valence. You'll find it in a different location moments later. Even your atom goes into land of pure possibility, the electrons, and then jump to being form again, like a thing. Think about that. What you're made of consistently at the level of trillions per millisecond jumps from one state of being, goes into waveform, pure possibility, and then leaps to another state of being. And back then, what hit me was, if I don't take the space, instead of trying really hard in 3D to make things happen, that's like 3D, 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 hard, linear, step by step, everything is in 3D. I can't make a quantum leap. You can't make a quantum leap without actually letting go and relinquishing the need, because it's our reality, relinquishing the need to do it in the attached way that the mind does. We operate like we're lone wolves. Have you ever had that thought? It's like, I got to do this all by myself. Meanwhile, the entire universe is available to us in that waveform, so much so that literally one of your electrons, which there are more than trillions, it's exponential to that, can leap from one state to another, from one location to another in a moment, because it actually lets go of its current state. It is a law of physics. It's what we're made of. And yet we all, which is what I was doing, keep pushing. So I took that knowingness, and this is one of our superpowers. I took that knowingness, knowing that I was pushing on money because the land of what was happening in society wasn't familiar to me right now. With all the changes, I'm like, I don't even know what to do. And then I looked at, in my relationship, it's like, I need to be someone different. And I don't even know how to be that. It's like too big of a leap. And again, I'd love to hear from you if that's something that you've felt, right? Have you felt like something's calling you, or something's going to shift, or the world's going to shift, and you want to make sure that you not only keep up with it, but you want to be able to flourish through it? To me, I'm not, surviving better is if I can just make it through this era of history, or this era of my business, or this era of my relationship. I'm not interested. Because I know if something can go from not having form to having form in spaciousness, most certainly, that's why the third day is so important. But we got to build it. We got to build it, right? So what I did is I did something completely irrational. I changed form. I leapt, and I knew that I needed to be in the land of, I don't know. I needed to be on the adventure in my waveform. So what I did is I stopped my regular life and I went on a 3-week journey to find out and have life reflect back to me who I am. It's not to say I wasn't running my business, I was. It's not to say that I didn't do interviews, I was. I still kept, but I minimized appointments. I minimized the holographic readings I do with people that happened to me after that those wakened dreams. I started to be able to see people holographically, right? I minimized all that stuff and I went to discover myself beyond. That's what I did. And in those 3 weeks, I actually evolved greater than I could ever have done if I had stayed pushing a noodle in my regular life. I've actually met Paul Selig. I actually met with another very, very famous channel. And that's one of the things that I felt like was calling me is more of the superpowers around being able to bring through greater wisdom. And I knew that I really wanted to build bridges to help others do that. So these people just showed up, just really well-known channels that I got to hang out with. And what happened in the spaciousness is I even channeled for one of them, who it would rock your world if I told you, but I respect his privacy. And this magic, these orbetters, it's like what I said about the electron. It goes into waveform where all possibility lives, and then it leaps to another place. And so I went into my own waveform of, I don't know what I'm doing. And then what happened was I ended up in Victoria, ended up staying in this incredible place called Avalon, had beautiful conversations, ended up doing, having very intimate conversations with the entire community there. Ended up starting to write a book. So much happened. And it never would have happened if I didn't take the time. Now, this isn't so much about, it is about traveling. If that calls you, for me, being unplugged from the world, I must do that. I must actually be unplugged from the place that I live because too much pulls on me, right? So then I went to Thanksgiving with my parents, and that was pretty evolutionary with my family in and of itself, and I returned home. And as a result, I'm sure that my sweetie, who is right now in the background being the producer of this particular show, is probably feeling how much I changed because I'm just getting used to my new self. So what are the 3 superpowers? Remember, we talked about at the beginning, we were going to talk about the 3 superpowers, the superpowers that would help to make an evolution. So the first superpower is the superpower to actually be as an electron, that you literally can. It's a choice. I want you to, so the 2 of these superpowers are about choosing. You have the capacity, because you are literally the thinker of your thoughts, to right now choose to take the things that you obsess about or you think about too much, or the issues that are happening in your life right now, to think of them like a book that you can put on a shelf. You have a choice to put it on a shelf. And even if you took 10 minutes, 15 minutes to go outside for a walk and focus instead of on that book, it's not going to have your bills not be paid. It's nothing scary. It's not going to have you, get divorced. to turn yourself into a wave pattern so that possibility can show up. The thing you want to do in your wave pattern, in your spaciousness break, however, in order to make a quantum leap in your location in relationship to life, is that you want to be doing something that's really pleasurable for you. Could be going out in your garden. Could be picking up fall leaves. It could be, where I live, it's going for a walk around the lake. It could be going to your favorite store, even if you don't buy anything. It could be 1-800 phone a friend that you love to talk about and just ask them, like, let's do the appreciation game. Let's think about, 10 things or 5 things that we appreciate about each other. Go. So your first superpower is to turn into a waveform. Instead of being myopic and instead of being so focused in your world, it's to waveform yourself so that you become receptive to who you need to become and what you need to do, and a new frequency that has you be able to locate somewhere else. Because as soon as you change your frequency, and you're going to notice, especially if you have quiet time, the things are going to come to you. So you want to be in the expectation of higher frequency ideas coming to you. So that's the first superpower that you have. So whoever is committed to taking more spaciousness, can you see how in times of great change, taking more spaciousness, in other words, becoming the wave, becomes more important? Because the harder you try at what you already know, when the world around you is changing, the harder you try at what you already know, when the world and the paradigms around you are changing, and you stay in particle 3D form, when you don't take spaciousness, what happens is you're going to have to struggle more or try harder or come from what you already know. This is a time to take spaciousness more often than you ever have. You can't remember how we said at the beginning? I knew that I can't do the same old, same old. I take way more spaciousness breaks, all the way to the point of that 3-week off the grid thing. Okay. A waveform, right? A waveform. So the second superpower is this. The second superpower is a superpower to be able to shift. Well, let's put it this way. There are parallel universes that exist at the same. Now, I know for some, this is going to be like, what are you talking about, Jennifer? But you do this all day, every day. Stay with me here. For those of you that are like new to this work, this is going to be, whoa, it's going to be like, whoa. In the land of physics, there is no time. Time is a creation of physics. It enables us to live in 3D. Okay. So imagine that the construct of being alive is facilitated by the fact that, molecules had to be invented, and so did atoms, and that these atoms and molecules came together to make this world and to cause life to form, Big Bang or whatever you believe, doesn't matter. And so this reality got created. You get it? And so this reality got created, and what one has to understand is that most of reality is kind of like the wave. All the possibility exists, but what comes into reality from moment to moment is what we all agree upon. So we agree that it's fall here in North America and the leaves turn color. We agree that we're living on a planet and that there's gravity so we don't float away. We agree on these things. And so that is what we all agree upon. And so the particles of physics basically rearrange themselves in order that we can live in this reality. What I want you to know that at the same time, if you changed your perspective and you changed the way you think and you changed the way you view life, like particles and waves, and you can quantum leap from one perspective to another perspective. I already see it happening in my relationship. I already see it because I did this huge pause, right? So I already see it happening in my relationship. I already see it happening monetarily. And it's only been 6 days since I've been home. I needed a huge reset. But the thing is, the new reality I'm living in isn't the old reality. The old reality had me not fully embodied in the knowing that my word creates my experience. Because the embodiment of that would have me completely not interested in what my thoughts are, or, my thinking or my strategies. Do you ever find yourself strategizing? And what I've noticed is I'm quantum leaping from working hard to actually a level of ease that I've never experienced before. Now, it's not to say that I didn't have a level of ease that most people have never experienced before, but I'm looking at a level of receptivity and everything coming to me at this point that is beyond the beyond. I can't wait to actually pay all of what I've seen forward. It's very exciting to me. So understand that there are realities. There's a new reality that came from being in wave form, a new set of realities. But that second superpower is an understanding that one reality exists and it still exists. And if we shift to the other reality, this becomes your reality. That one goes away. And the superpower of this one means that your entire history has to change. Your history has to change in order to meet this new reality that you're living in, and that you don't have to go away for 3 weeks in order to actually be in an entirely new reality where you're completely receptive. So the second superpower relates to that. To help you get to the place where you can't quantum leap that much, that requires experience, okay? So we need to know that it exists first. That's the first step. Second is you need to actually practice it. And the third is you have to experience it firsthand enough. It's like riding a bike. You finally get the idea of balance, right? So being able to go into, if you can imagine a new reality, I want you to know that the reality that you imagine has to be real, because anything unreal can't be imagined. It has to exist in the quantum field. It has to be real that you can imagine that new reality about love or about your abundance. It has to be real, because you can't imagine that which isn't real. So you're not creating it when you imagine. You're catching up to something that's already real when you imagine. I'm going to say that again. You're not creating it when you imagine something or when you intend something. You're literally catching up to a reality that already exists that you're getting ready for. Okay? Third superpower. Michelle Harris says, can you feel lost if you have not fully inserted into this new life? I would say, Michelle, there's this interesting thing. It's not so much about being lost. It's about feeling floaty. If you call it lost, that's a powerful word. Remember your words. Definitely when you understand yourself as a creator, create. So I'm giving you the opportunity to shift to the reality where that feeling that you're feeling is a floatiness, where you're letting go of the way that you have been, the reality you have been in, to be able to embody the reality that you're headed towards, but you still have the training wheels on. And remember, that takes knowing that there's a new reality, actually talking about it enough that you actually get it. And the third stage is that you have to have the experience. Okay? I love that you typed that at 11:33, and thanks for asking the question, because I'm sure you're not alone in that. There is a third superpower. We're not going to talk about the second superpower a lot. Remember, first is knowing about it. We know about it. Second is we talk about it and understand it in theory much better so that the mind feels safe. And the third is you go and experience it. The third superpower, really quickly, And I'm sorry you guys are feeling floaty. I get it. I get it. I had enough of the floatiness. That's why I went away and did a reset. So the third superpower is the superpower to be able to completely match your biology to a future now. That you can match. And with my clients, with my one-on-one clients, I actually do this. I have a couple of WhatsApp groups where I actually do what we call a future activation in the now to let the biology catch up to that new reality so that you're already there physiologically before you even get there. It makes it so much easier. And there's a methodology to it whereby you talk about the future like it's already done. Actually, I can read you one of them right now. Well, I'll read them as we finish. What I want to say before we go is this, that I love doing these because we activate the doorways. I can't wait for tomorrow. So we build upon what we've done here and we get more integrated with it. Remember, tomorrow is super important. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock, bring some friends. Let's activate the living daylights out of this, because in times of great change, I cannot tell you how we call everything I'm talking about is called the thriving operating system. How much this thriving operating system matters in times of great change. Tomorrow's about freedom from overthinking and freedom from trying hard when life gets intense. Again, it's a tool that takes literally 2 minutes. Okay. So now, this is where I want to go right now before I read. The most important piece of embodying, of making the quantum leap, is the experience. Put a yes in the chat, in the comments, if you know what I'm saying is true. Like, talking about it is just theoretical. When you actually start to experience it and embody it, that's when life changes. Put that in the chat. Like, because otherwise it just becomes theoretical and then it feels like it's taking too long. Have you ever had that? It just takes too long, takes too long, takes too long. So put a yes in the chat if you know what I'm talking about, right? So the third piece of having the experience is what I am so committed to taking people on the journey of. And I want to let you know that coming up in just a few weeks, we are taking people on the journey to Costa Rica, in the land of receptivity. This is the land of the divine feminine. And we're going on a journey to Costa Rica together. And it's a very small group of people. And we've made it incredibly affordable in these times of great change, because I know people are nervous. And if you are wanting to embody, you're done talking about it, you're done trying to figure it out yourself and being in lone wolf, me and the team are going to take you on the journey so that you can just transcend and reset. And you, I promise you, will go home a different person, just like I did for those 3 weeks. We are step 3ing this, right? To get to the place of embodiment. All right. Click on the link, check it out, roll around in it. If you want to talk about it, I am so happy to have my staff or me have an intimate conversation with you about how you can get there. If it's just time for you, and I know for some of you, you're like, I can't, but that's especially if it triggers you. If it triggers you to go on a journey like this, you're even closer. It definitely is something you should consider, because that's the amygdala that tries to protect you from evolving, screaming and yelling. When something triggers you, it's a sure sign that you're ready for an evolution. Now, how do you know? If it just presented for you and it's like, I need to have these kinds of conversations. I want to deepen. It's so fun for me to deepen and have the experience. Just click on the link. Click on the link or email us, support@thewideawakening.com, and schedule a time with me. Happy to do that. All right. Last but not least, I'm going to read you a future activation. You ready? So So the future activation, I'm going to read a future activation. I'm going to read the future activation that I did for for my one-on-one clients, the one that got the most juju. Okay, here's the one that got the most energy recently. Today was a day for vigilance. So remember, I'm talking as if the day already happened because I want my biology to catch up to something that hasn't happened yet, but I want it to happen. So everybody breathe and let yourself have the experience like this day already happened. Okay. Today was a day for vigilance. Vigilance for any judgment I might have of things that are around me or people or myself that may not look like at the outset, like these things are happening for me. So I'm vigilant for judging the things that feel like they might not be happening for me. They might be happening to me. So I was vigilant for those things. And yet I realized today that there is no other reason for things to happen, but that they happen for me. Today, I had the experience of the freedom of knowing that no matter whether I liked it or not, my personality has nothing to do with the love of the entire universe. And that, of course, it happened for me. I deepened my relationship to when those things happen. It's either a redirect or an affirmation of a change. Today, I stayed completely unplugged from any addiction to needing to judge. Today, I let everything unfold exactly as it should and didn't involve myself with petty protective mechanisms. Today, I had the experience of a sense of neutrality that I deeply appreciate, and I became even more receptive. I am developing and have been developing all day my expertise in living in the present moment so I can receive what I've put into motion from all of the contrast I've ever experienced. So grateful for today, or better. So thank you for taking the time for a little bit longer of a journey today. The rest of the days will be shorter because we had to set the context at the beginning. I'd love for you to actually type in right now what you heard that meant something today for the people that joined us late. What was really important for you to hear today? Remember again, spaciousness, right? That literally becoming a waveform is a superpower so you can locate somewhere else. The second is you have the capacity to actually hook into a new reality because new realities exist. If you can imagine it, it exists. The second is about the becoming of that person. And the third is that you can create a new biology that becomes magnetic to that future. So this is the basis, right? This is the basis. What did you need to hear today? Just type it in the comments, type it in the chat. I'd love to hear. Thank you for saying. So grateful for you guys too. Just biggest hugs all the way around. Mary Ellen, Brian, so glad you're here. PL shift, getting out of the way, right? Really getting out of the way. Yeah. Thanks you guys for sharing from all over the world. I'm deeply become the wave and recalibrate, Mary Ellen. Thank you for sharing that. All right, you guys. Until tomorrow, truly blessed to be with you. I'm already imagining the reality tomorrow where we evolve. Amy, I can imagine new realities, absolutely. And just by letting your body catch up to them, so fun. And Jessie, stopping the cycle by becoming the wave. I love that. She's over in the Philippines too. And I love that Elizabeth said that it's Be the space that things can flow during times of change instead of forcing what you think should happen. Yes. Yes, dude. The thing is, we can know all of this. Do you guys understand that embodying it, the intellectual knowing is the booby prize? You can embody it, and it takes the experience of being immersed, just like what I did, going away from my life and immersing in the waveform. And my inspiration for this is because I want you to understand, in whatever form you do this, it is so important to take spaciousness. And my deepest desire is to take you on a journey away from your life and actually immerse in the embodiment of this. So make sure you look at the QR code. And again, if you don't know how you can make it to Costa Rica, you can just email support@thewideawakening.com. All right, you guys. But let's do no booby prize. No booby prize, you guys. So, or boobily prize, whatever. Sandra, not only is it okay to take spaciousness, the only way to flourish, remember how I said at the beginning, the only way to flourish through times of great change is to integrate that as part of your every single day. You must, if you want to flourish through times. It's actually not an option not to. Do you understand? We must become the wave far more often than we've ever imagined. So, Patty, yay for or betters. All right, you guys. I'm so grateful to the team and Adam and Alan and Jeannie and Jesse and everyone who came together to make these gatherings possible. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Call a friend, tell people. Let's get the word. Let's have people flourishing through times of great change. Truly, I mean it. It's time that either we're going to end up all under the covers watching everything go down, or we're actually going to use the contrast to create the most magnificent life. And it's possible for every single person here. All right. Okay. We'll see you tomorrow at 11 o'clock. And can't wait to see you here.